Yeah. He says it's the amount of numbers that are away from 0. That's not true? All right, let's explore this. Okay. So if I said the absolute value of x is equal to 5, what does that mean? What does that mean, the absolute value of x is equal to 5? All right, so on the number line, here's what it means. On the number line, okay, this is the point 0, okay? Then that means that's 5, and this has to be negative 5. Does this look true so far? No trickery yet? Now, the absolute value of x equals 5 means that the distance away from 0 is 5 units. Well, it turns out there's 2 of those answers. How far is it from here to here?
5.
That's 5 units. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, and how far is it from here to here?
5.
Also 5 units, right? On the number line represents it as negative 5, but we represent distances as always being positive. So there are some facts that we could write down about absolute value. It's represented by the 2 little bars on either side, like you mentioned before. A couple of facts, though. It must be positive. It must be positive. And the reason it must be positive is because we're talking about a distance. It's represented by the distance away from 0. And the other fact is that there are 2 answers involved here. Why do I say there's 2 answers involved here? Why were there 2 answers involved in this case if the absolute value of x was 5? Yes, sir?
Because it could be a negative 5 or 5.
That's right. Because I could write this down. I could say the absolute value of 5, that's equal to 5, correct? Or the absolute value of negative 5, that's also equal to 5. So these are the same, but I could have 2 different answers that can get me there, a positive and a negative one. So that's the sort of reminder of what absolute value is all about. Does that look familiar to most of you? Yes, it does. Okay, good. That's good to know. Our goal today is to solve and graph absolute value equations if possible. So every single time I say if possible, and there's a reason we're going to say that. So let's practice this one together. Okay, while you write this down here, can someone read that to the class? What does that actually say? When you look at that, what are the words that you say? Okay, before we can begin, a couple of logistics here. You have to be sure that the absolute value bars are by themselves on the left-hand side of the equation before you can begin. They've got to be by themselves. Yeah, because we want to isolate the x. We want to undo the x. And since x is now in between those absolute value bars, that's as far as we can go without taking the next step. Another point of confusion here, this part on the right-hand side has to always be set to something positive when the absolute value bars are by themselves. Because after all, absolute value has to always be positive. Once those 2 things are taken into account, you break off into 2 directions here. You can go the positive direction, or you can go the negative direction. And the reason you go in 2 directions is the same reason that we went in 2 directions up here. There are 2 distances that are away on the number line, and we have to find both of them. So here's how you'd set it up. X minus 9 is equal to 2, or, we notice we have an or statement, x minus 9 is equal to negative 2. That's what I mean by the positive and the direction, and the negative. Here's the positive sign, positive 2, negative, there's the negative 2. You guys follow along so far? Yeah. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. That means that x has to either be 11 or, add 9 to both sides, x has to be 7. Those are the only 2 answers that could make this statement with you. Solve and graph if possible. Yeah, same directions. You got it. So I'm going to say 4. Multiply by the absolute value of 2x plus 8. Then add 6 is all equal to 30. Well, now this one there's a few more steps we have to do, isn't there? Notice that the absolute value part is definitely not by itself, is it? We need to get it by itself first. In order to do that, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. That gives me 4 times the absolute value of 2x plus 8. Has to be 24. You guys agree with that? And then I need to divide both sides by 4 to give me the absolute value of 2x plus 8 is now equal to 6, because 24 divided by 4 is 6. Now, is the absolute value part by itself? Yes, correct? You guys agree? Yes. Is the right-hand side a positive number?
Yes.
Then you can break off in the two directions, the positive and the negative direction.
What if it was negative?
You'd stop and say there's no solution. No. So we have this. 2x plus 8 is equal to 6, or we see that 2x plus 8 is equal to negative 6. We're just going to move that down. Okay. So here we go. We're going to subtract 8, right? So that means that 2x has to be how much? Negative 2. We're going to divide by 2. Therefore, x has to be negative 1. Easy. Or, we know this. We know that 2x has to be negative, is that 14? Can you guys agree? Help me out, is that right? One person think that's right?
Yes.
Oh, 2, okay. Divide by 2, by 2. Therefore, x has to be how much? Negative 7. There. So these are the only two solutions that, when you plug way back into the original one, alright, the absolute value of 7x minus 3 plus 8 is equal to 5. Ladies and gentlemen, is the absolute value part by itself? No, it is not. We need to create it by itself before we can begin. Absolute value of 7x minus 3 equal to, how much is that?
Negative 13?
Oh, wait, time out. You guys didn't even catch that, did you?
I did.
Subtract 8. Oh, because that cancels out. So how much does 5 take away 8? Negative 3. Good. Is the absolute value part by itself? Yes. Is the right-hand side a positive number? No. Bad. Not good. Therefore, there is no solution to this particular